Mickey from My Bashful Life, and I am back today with part 2 of my weekly planning routine. And today we're going to talk about the family binder. Family binders are really nothing new. They've been around, organizing communities for years. But this is something that I have used for over a decade, and it's something that has been really successful for me. Like I said before, I have 4 kids, and when my children were really young, my husband traveled so much, so it was really me and the 4 kids a lot of the time. And it was hard because I was that mom that would show up, to the soccer field with a bunch of sweaty 8-year-olds and not have my scheduled snack. And I just hated it because it was so unlike me. But when you have small ones running around and you're taking care of a house, things slip your mind. So I came up with my own family binder that has really helped me over the years keep track of all my kids' activities, all their roster lists, their school schedules, everything, contact information for their schools. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. So first of all, let me just say that binders are probably my favorite organizing tool. I use them for everything. I use them in my classroom to stay organized with the students' files. I use them for my recipe collection, which I have just a huge recipe collection. Every time we go on a big trip, I use a binder to keep all that information together. And I've been told I am a binder snob because I tend to only use one type of binder, but they are called the Better binders. That's what this is, and you can find them at Staples. They are basically the same price as any other binder. I just like the way that they are constructed and laid out. And I like the fact that they're kind of tough, and because it's especially for a family binder that is used almost on a daily basis. So what I like to do for any binder that I'm using, I always make a cover page. And because this is, our family binder, I have a nice little picture of, of the family, which just makes sense. But I do that even with my recipe binders, because I have things, separated with seasons, and I put a seasonal, cover on them. So it's just something fun. It's just something that I like to do. So as we open the binder, on the cover page I have, I don't know if it's a poem or a quote, but this has been in my binder since its creation. And it's something that I found online. And what I'll do is I'll type it up and I'll put it on my blog if anybody is interested. But it's just something that I like to read sometimes. It's just, it starts out, believe in your heart that something wonderful is about to happen. Love your life. And loving your life is something that I'm all about because we only have one. And it's up to us to create a happy home and to create a happy life. So that's something that I like to read very often when I open my family binder. Now, I've done some cover pages in the binder to show you, primarily just to, I have a lot of family information here. I just want to keep it confidential. So in the first section, I have important phone numbers, and this is where I keep the telephone numbers of all of our doctors, emergency contacts, family cell phone numbers, and that's family and extended family. All the school contact information. I have 4 children in 4 different schools. So that is I'm sure a lot of families are the same way. So I have all that contact information in there. And one of the other things that is really, really helpful to have, especially when you're filling out school information and field trip permission slips, is I have all the health insurance information, telephone numbers, doctor address and telephone number, all that information I have. So in this section is where you're going to find, in the case of emergency, all the telephone numbers that you would need. Now in the second section is, I call it the neighborhood contact list. Most neighborhoods have, like a little directory of all the neighbors, and our neighborhood is no different. It's important to have because your neighbors are very important. You kind of have the same experience in the same part of town. And it's good to have, the names of the kids. In our section, we have the names, email addresses, cell phone numbers, and the children's names and birth dates. So that is something that we keep in this section. In the next section are school directories. Again, most schools will put out either a PTA school directory that'll have like the names and the address and the children's classes for those who want to participate. These are really valuable pieces of information. I have always kept them throughout the years. Even if it's an old directory, usually your children will follow the same group of kids all throughout their school career. So you'll always have that information when you need it. It's great for, when they're younger play dates, but it's also great for when you volunteer at school. You have that contact information for the other adults that you're volunteering with. So I always keep a hold of those. And then is like to me, the most important section. It's the kids section. And I have mine separated for each of my 4 children. And as I said before, that they are in 4 different schools. So I have the full address and contact information, especially for my boys who are away at college. I have their dorm information, their actual street address, and their actual mailing address, which is oftentimes 2 different addresses. For my younger children, I have their class schedules, their teacher contact information, what activities they are involved in. We are a very heavy scouting family, so I have all of their my son's troop information, the scoutmaster information, his other scouts contact information, their parents, and if they're involved in sports. We've been involved with soccer and in track, so I keep the team rosters, the snack schedule, and the competition schedule. And I also keep a little section in each of my kids' parts on their friends, their contact information, because everybody has cell phones now. I like to keep, if I can get, the kids' cell phone numbers and the parents' cell phone numbers and email addresses and those kinds of things. Now, just one thing I wanted to add about the kids at college. It's really a good idea if you can get their roommates' parents' information. It is something that has come in handy, throughout the years that my kids have been in college. So even if you don't have college-age kids, that kind of information is really invaluable, and you don't know you need it until you need it. So that is something to keep in mind when you're putting together your sections for your kids. And our last section would be for extended family and close friends contact information. The way I have people listed in here, if I send you a Christmas card, your contact information is here. So I'm talking about, aunts, uncles, cousins, in-laws, dear friends. That kind of information is in this section. And I try, if I have it, I try to include their emails and their cell phone numbers in there as well. And then in the last section, I add, things having to do with things that we're involved with now. I always keep a copy of my Christmas newsletter back there just because I like to, I like to read them every now and then. So that's the kind of information that I keep in my family binder. Like I said, I have used this for over a decade, and it has really been a problem solver for me. Even though today so much information is kept in our phones, for me, I really like to have a tangible copy of the information in a binder that I can just grab and look up instantly. I just may not be as tech savvy as some people. I just feel more comfortable having a hard copy of all my kids' information. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And in part 3 of my weekly planning series, I'm going to talk about meal planning and my meal planning notebook. So I hope you will tune in for that. And thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you again later. Thank you.